by vet. Been coming here 26 years of my 31-year-old life. Working, fan, love it. It's the only place I know. Surely missed.
A lot of memories.
Yeah. I really can't think of anything to say.
As I said it for us.
I loved every minute of it.
Change is good. Here's to the vet.
Last night at the vet. To the vet.
Out of here. 33 years. Thanks for the memories. It's been great. My home. This is Larry Shank. Yes, it seems like Veterans Stadium was my real home. For me and hundreds of other people in the Phillies family, this was a special place filled with wonderful memories and lifelong friendships. All of us will never forget the closing ceremonies after the last game. In planning the event, we wanted to create one more lasting memory of the vet and bring tears to some 60,000 pair of eyes. We believe we accomplished both. Then came the move out of the offices. In the days before the final office lights were turned out, two of the brightest flames in our long history were extinguished. Within a few days of each other, Paul Owens and Tug McGraw both lost their long, brave battle with illness, but they left behind a warm legacy of great achievements and even greater character. They'll both live forever in countless late-night stories and in our hearts. When I think of Paul Owens, I often think of a young Phillies employee he helped to inspire. I'll let him tell the story.
This is Ed Wade. I began my Phillies career as an intern for Larry Shank in 1977, and that's when my path first crossed with Paul Owens. He was at the pinnacle of his career. As Phillies general manager, he had built the ball club into a National League powerhouse, using a nucleus of all-star players he had drafted as farm director and filling in the necessary pieces through trades. He was as good a judge of talent as has ever lived, but also he had the ability to see into a player's heart. Under his watch, the Phillies enjoyed their most successful era, going to the postseason 6 times in 8 years. In 1983, he even managed the team to a pennant, and the sight of him running around the vet turf like a little boy was something to behold. Yet for all his success, he was one of the most down-to-earth people you could ever meet. He was a friend to everyone in the organization, from the PR intern to the star player. He might not always remember your name, but he knew what you did, and he knew that you were part of his team. Aside from his passion for life and love of the game, probably his greatest trait was his loyalty. He had chances to change his direction many times, but elected to stay with the Phillies for an incredible 48 years, with a record of accomplishment that will be impossible to equal. In the later years, Paul served as an advisor to the ball club and proved to be an invaluable resource to me when I took over as GM in 1997. It was an honor to have a man of his credentials and character to help as a guide in my career. And while Paul was a fixture around the ballpark each season, there was one special time of year that he loved the most, spring training. Yet he'd rarely watch the big league club play at Jack Russell Stadium, instead choosing to spend countless hours on the rooftop of a building named in his honor, watching young minor leaguers play ball. Of all the various aspects of professional baseball, Paul Owens loved player development the most. Watching a field of raw, talented kids and trying to see into their future was his ultimate passion. Paul didn't make it to spring training this year. He was too busy fighting chronic respiratory problems. But there was no way he was going to miss the annual presentation of the award in his own name, given to the outstanding minor league player and pitcher in the organization. And 2 days later, he summoned the strength to participate in the closing ceremonies at the vet. It was there that he got a final curtain call from the legions of fans who watched his players over the years, a fitting ending to a great career and a great baseball life. Sitting with Paul as the entire history of the past 33 years paraded before us was one of the greatest thrills of my life. Many of those players and the great memories they created came courtesy of Mr. Paul Owens. But the star of the show that day was a man who had been through his own ordeal that year, a man responsible for the greatest moment at Veterans Stadium. I'll let his best friend tell that story.
This is Larry Christensen. I began my big league career in the early 70s and found an instant friend in Tug McGraw. By the time Tug got to Philly, he was already an established veteran with 2 World Series under his belt. We were a young team looking for an identity, and he helped provide it. Not only did he bring a great work ethic filled with fun and excitement, but he also preached a sense of team unity. He constantly reminded us that we had the greatest job in the world, being a big league baseball player, and should enjoy it to the hilt. Tug was a great organizer of team parties, bonding the players and their wives into one big family. And of course, he brought that Irish leprechaun's view of the world with him every day. His on-field heroics were legendary, especially the incredible run during the second half of the '80 season, his unhittable pitches down the stretch drive, and the gut-wrenching performance during the postseason. He took the ball night after night, running on fumes, and somehow got us to the promised land. Tug and I retired around the same time, and we both chose to remain in our adopted city. Tug became a fixture in town, never straying too far from the public spotlight. In 2000, he organized another huge party, bringing back the world champions to celebrate with a 20-year reunion. He was delighted when the Phillies brought him back into uniform 2 years ago as a spring training pitching coach. He always seemed happiest around the ballpark. Last spring, Tug was diagnosed with cancerous brain tumors. Facing an uncertain prognosis, he met the challenge head-on, vowing to try to beat the disease. He got his affairs in order, writing his memoirs, creating the Tug McGraw Foundation, and spent quality time with his family and friends. But the one thing that really surprised Tug the most was the outpouring of affection from the fans. From the minute his illness was revealed, he was flooded with get-well wishes and expressions of love. And when he finally had the strength to make it to the ballpark, he really found out what he meant to the people of Philadelphia. It was a summer-long love fest, as good as any medicine he could receive. Of course, it all culminated on that beautiful September day when the Tugger, fittingly, threw the last pitch at Veterans Stadium. It was the end of an era in many ways, and a wonderful, lasting image of Tug McGraw and Paul Owens.
I think those people taught us some things. Pope taught us we're all teammates here. You know, regardless of where you worked for the Phillies, you were his teammate. And he treated all of us. Anybody that worked in the sales office met the Pope, you know, you got the same hug. I said the other day, and I'm going to try to lighten up, I said the other day, sitting in a service, I realized as I sat there, I'd never been kissed by a man more than I was by the Pope. He taught us how to do that. And you know, Bill always said, and we all, I think, have thought it was right, that you come here and you work hard and you have fun. Nobody did it better than Tug. He competed hard, he had fun, and he made it fun for everyone else.
What does a scout look for when he's studying a young prospect?
I think there's four things you look for, Richie, and as far as ability is concerned, and that's his ability to hit and run and field and throw. There's really four basics that you look for.
man. This is it. We're going all the way.
For New York City to take this world championship and stick it, because we're number one.